Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be in the globe, and we thank you for listening into this Cundall Tech Talk about the upcoming challenges and opportunities in the data center market. My name is Alec. I'm a partner in Cundall's Critical Systems team and an electrical engineer by discipline. The COVID-19 pandemic has had an impact on us all and the way that we live our lives. Initially, as lockdown restrictions required us to adapt from face-to-face physical interactions to online virtual ones. As we now learn to live with COVID, a hybrid world where people engage either face-to-face in the pre-COVID way or virtually, using technology is definitely here to stay. And this is impacting on everything that we do. The significant increase in global data usage, initially seen with the pandemic, has not slowed down. This data needs to be captured, stored, evaluated, and retrieved in data centers. And the need, therefore, to increase the number of data centers and processing capacity is well recognized. There have been many articles published and statistics quoted over the last 18 months or so on the impact of the pandemic in relation to technology. Some of the more interesting articles being the global data consumption has grown by more than 30% in 2020 compared to 2019. According to most predictions, global data consumption will grow again by approximately the same percentage points in 2021 compared with 2020. Some telephone operators reported that they are now carrying up to 60% more data on their networks than they did pre-pandemic. Virtual video conferencing has grown exponentially. During the peak of the pandemic, Zoom reported 300 million participants on their platform in a single day attending virtual meetings. Video is a key driving force behind this data growth, accounting for more than 3/4 of the data consumed by telephone operators in 2020 alone. There's been a doubling of the Internet of Things connections, and the pace of AI growth has been exponential. E-commerce has seen a marked shift in behavior. In the UK alone, where I'm based, there's been a 38% increase in e-customers since 2019. Schools have resorted to online learning. Many businesses and manufacturers are producing training material and content in video format for their use. It is little wonder, therefore, that the exponential rise in global data consumption rise an exponential increase in data centers and processing capacity. I'm joined this morning by colleagues from Cundall's Global Critical Systems teams from around the globe to discuss some of the key factors affecting the data center sector at this time. I would just ask my colleagues now to please introduce themselves. Joe.
Hi all, my name is Tang, Director of Hong Kong and Shanghai office, and has been with the mission critical team looking after the Asia Pac together with other people here.
Benny.
Thanks, Alex. Benny Cheer from Cundall, Australia, located in the Melbourne office. I lead the data centers market for Cundalls in Australia. I'm working very closely with Joe in the APAC region.
Hello, I'm Barbara Sacha. I'm a partner at Critical Systems team based in London. I lead the design management team dedicated to our critical systems projects. And I also manage some of the key client accounts that we have for our data center projects.
Pete.
Yeah, hi. My name is Pete Liddle. I'm another partner in the team based in London with Barbara. Been in data center sector now for about 14 years. Lead the mechanical team and look after key account contracts for data centers.
So I'd like to start by asking, what impact is this increased demand having on global delivery particularly in the emerging markets. Perhaps we'll start with Asia, and where supply chains are perhaps least established. Benny, can you kindly advise on your experience in Asia Pac and this increase in demand?
Yeah, definitely. So I think, you know, Cundall as a business, we're doing a lot of projects with a lot of different clients within the APAC region, whether they'd be in the more established economies or the emerging markets. Now, I think a lot of the clients that we work with, a lot of them are quite global and also quite mature, and they typically have their you know, quite well developed design standards. Now, a lot of those I think there's a lot of in somewhat, I guess, tailoring or potential adjustment just in terms of equipment relative to the local market, and especially when it comes to, you know, the supply chain and the vendors that you can protect, that you can typically yeah, I guess typically cover in these particular regions, whether they'd be from the initial install or ultimately from a maintenance side of things as well. So I think, you know, there's probably a lot of differences, I think, when you're working in, depending on the type of country and the market, that you have to consider when we're working with our clients. Yeah, I think maybe Joe, do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, because most of our clients, the program is very quick. We are talking about 18 months, 1.5 years from the design stage to deliver the project. So they try to come with their own standardizations to see how the things done and their favorable rating. But very often, because we're talking about Asia Pac, it's a very big country, big area that it varies a lot from north to south, east to west, that some design cannot just carry through from other places. So it depends on lots of local knowledge to localize it. But whether to convince the clients that there's a different way, is it how to justify that, or they try to challenge that? Can you really find that because they think that's better? So this is quite a big discussions and try to make the clients understanding with the local requirement and practice too.
Yeah, and you know, what is our experience in your particular region in relation to this growth and demand? How, you know, how are people delivering these skills into an area where perhaps it's not entirely established?
Yeah, I think I can take that one, Alex. I think yeah, I guess we were seeing a lot of opportunities in emerging markets. I think when in an emerging market where the data center industry is potentially not as mature, there's probably potentially a bit of a skills gap in terms of the experience in being able to deliver some of these facilities, especially for the size of clients that try to enter these markets, and you know, and I think you see the range of clients from your more regional clients, I guess, to the more global clients. And I guess there's probably some expectations just in terms of the global delivery of these facilities and the consistency of the quality across the various markets that these clients operate in. So I think it's probably, I think the ideal mix when delivering with these clients is probably a balance of local and international effort. I think the local effort, obviously there's significant value in the very localized codes and the difference in standards and regulatory requirements. But I think where the real international experience comes in is through the end-to-end delivery, having lived and breathed the delivery of some of these data centers for some of these very large clients, and bringing that into a local scale. And I guess with Cundall, operating globally, there is that knowledge share, experience and expertise that is shared across the markets, that can be brought into these economies where there's potentially that skill gap.
Yeah, I mean, Peter, you've been in the industry for many years, and with Cundall for many years. How have you found, what approach have you found has achieved the best results when entering into new markets?
I think it's interesting because a lot of what we're seeing in APAC at the moment maybe mirrors what we saw in Europe many years ago, where there's a lot of US companies that have come across into Europe and now springboarding across into APAC, and the challenges that they had at the time when we were first doing these projects with the American clients was how do they leverage their skill sets and knowledge base from the US into Europe, and there were struggles early on with how they managed and controlled their projects, and they were relying in some of these countries in Europe on skill sets and expertise that wasn't really there. So the first few projects were always really challenging, and at the end of the day, what the clients needed to do was ultimately find good local partners in Europe, of which Cundall have been successful in that arena and helped these big hyperscale clients springboard into Europe, but also setting up their own teams within the continent, because I think they quickly realized that they couldn't really manage and control projects from the US, and often the west coast of the US, of course, where a lot of these companies are headquartered. So our role grew from just being an engineering consultant that would do a design to actually becoming a long-term partner with these clients that they trust to help them deliver the services and the facilities that they need in Europe at the time. And I think that the APAC is seeing that as well. We all know that APAC is the region that's got the highest in predicted increase in terms of percentage of growth for the sector. And we see different methodologies about how the clients are going about that. And a lot of them are creating teams that are specific to certain regions, and they want teams on the ground. So they're kind of almost decentralizing their teams. And that others are just now starting to try and move staff across there. But really for us, the key for the partnership and the ongoing relationship is to be able to work with our colleagues, Benny and Joe and the guys down in APAC there, to make sure that our clients, when they're working with us, and this is long-term partnership clients rather than new clients that I'm talking about, that they see a consistent approach from us first and foremost, that they see that the lessons and the lumps and bumps that we've been through with them in Europe are actually not experienced again in APAC. And of course, there are different regional expectations and things, as the guys have alluded to there, but from a process and an engineering, baseline engineering point of view, they don't want us to go through the same learning mistakes and things that we went through in Europe with them many years ago. So the partnership that we have and the global approach that we take to deliver these projects is really important, and something that we continue to put a lot of effort into, both in terms of growing new teams across Europe and partnering with the guys down in APAC there. So that's really one of the keys to that part of the success. And of course, as we've touched on, the skill shortage is a real issue for the sector. All of our clients have huge growth profiles of what they need to try and deliver. And of course, in all areas of the sector, everyone is trying to rise up and meet those challenges, whether you're a consultant, whether you're a client team, whether you're a vendor that's supplying generators or UPS or cooling equipment, or whether you're a contractor as well. So that the challenges are huge for skill shortage across the sector. And it's really what Cundall are doing, because it's a fierce market and there's a lot of churn and movement as people try and grow their teams and new players come into the market. So we've adopted an approach of upskilling and training our own staff within Cundall. So we bring in engineers that maybe don't have that data center experience, but that we partner them and put them in teams around people that do have a lot of knowledge and experience. And we train them upon the job, in addition to courses and internal training programs that we've got to help them get up to speed as quickly as possible, because it's not really a sector where you can take a lot of time to get up to speed. You need to be there. As Joe said, the projects are often very quick turnaround, some clients more than others. So that's really important for us in the present and in the future, to enable us to keep up to speed with our clients as they grow and grow and grow, because it's exponential growth. So the industry has to kind of try and match that, otherwise everyone will fail.
Thanks, Pete. And Barbara, I think one of the unique things about the design delivery in this particular sector is the need for design management. We're talking about very, very large teams, particularly on the hyperscale projects. Barbara, do you believe that sort of the design management skills are there to deliver, particularly into APAC and these emerging markets?
Well, the design management need for the projects in the sector comes really from the scale of the projects, and as well the technical nature of them, and the fact that the client teams typically are engineers and quite specialized, and to manage a team of a hyperscale data center project, you do need a dedicated design management team or project management team, however you call it, to facilitate not only the internal deliveries that we have, but also the entire external environment of the project with the client, contractors, and so on. We have experienced that having specific data center experience is not really critical to deliver that. It's really the large scale project experience that has proven to be the key experience for our team that help them succeed. And for the clients, it's becoming a more and more important service as the sector grows and their teams become more and more busy, because we notice that we tend to, over the years, increase our scope and take more and more of responsibilities that maybe traditionally you would see the client do themselves. But because their teams are growing and being stretched more and more, we manage to offer the client the assistance, a bit deeper and deeper into their possibly original scope, and help them facilitate what they needed to deliver.
Thank you. Clearly Cundall's got quite a broad presence in Asia Pac. What is Cundall's approach to countries and opportunities that we don't have a presence? Is that something, Benny? What's your views on entering new markets?
Yep. So I think so definitely, Cundall's done a lot of work in this space, given, I guess, where we're seeing the data center market head within the APAC region. Now, in countries where we don't have an office, we have worked very hard to look for credible local partners where we have that has extensive experience working in these particular countries. Now typically within the industry, these partners have teams that Cundall has experience with. the individuals within these businesses. So there is that that relationship. But what we really look to do is form I guess a team that really adds significant value to our clients within this market. So we make sure that the local expertise, experience is there, coupled with Cundall's experience in the end-to-end delivery of global data centers. That's I guess that's what that's kind of what we look for in terms of yeah, I don't know, probably Joe would probably also have something to add, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of clients are actually global clients, as we discussed so far, that sometimes the work is not just coming for one country, it's talking about maybe 10 countries. So now we have a panel of different teams, different local partners selected. So work with us together how to make use of the local knowledge and also our global data center experience to deliver the projects.
These are challenges that are very typical to what we are still facing in Europe. We have a number of countries where we have very strong experienced and already established delivery teams that can develop projects quite efficiently. But there is still, over the last years, most of the clients are looking at more and more countries in Europe, and really now all of them are asking about the countries like Poland, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Austria, Czech Republic, Greece. So all the countries across Europe are being explored by everybody, and you can read it in all the articles. These are countries that don't really have an established supply chain for data centers. So we are going, I think, through the same approach and challenges that Joe and Benny were just talking about. We need to look at local partners. We are lucky to have offices in some of those countries. That is, of course, making it much easier. But wherever we don't, we need to find a local network of consultants or partners that will work with us. And then once we have that, the delivery is, again, typical to Asia Pac, is a mixed design team of the expertise that we have in-house in Cundall for data centers specifically, and a local support for localization and providing us assistance on ground there.
It's really one of the key services and partnerships that we provide for our clients. I think that what we saw in Europe was these American clients would come over, they would find a trusted partner in Europe, often within the UK, because that seemed to be an established base. And then they would rely on us and our working relationships to then help them to go off from that hub, almost like an airport, and you're flying off and you're trying to deliver these projects in all these other countries. So it enables them and helps them out, actually, because often they don't have the bandwidth to do this searching to find these local partners. So once they have a trusted partner in a hub such as Cundall, then we're the springboard then for them to grow across Europe and deliver these projects. And it is challenging because the skill shortage and lack of expertise, is an issue now in the UK and these established hubs. So when we're traveling and trying to deliver in new countries, it makes that part of the service that we offer all the more important, because often the success of the project can hinge on the abilities and the capability of the local partners, and it puts a lot of onus on the leadership in Cundall and Barbara's team and us as partners to find these local consultants and actually help them to upskill them, because they know the local code, they know the local practices and things like that, but often they're not really familiar with the scale and the technical depth of what we do and the detail that's required on these projects. These are not simple sheds with some power and a bit of ventilation. These are complex buildings that support the data center. So it's really has always been an important service and will continue to be paramount in our clients' minds. Particularly, they get given the drivers about where they need to go from the IT teams and the powers that be within these companies, and say, right, we need our network to be in these territories, and And really the speed of delivery is then with the client's engineering teams and sourcing and site selection and into us as their partners that help them to design these data centers. So it's a really, really important aspect of what we do.
And similarly, like us going into new regions, the clients are going to these regions as you know, newbies there as well. So we look at what other support we can provide them. We also do more and more of the very early stages of the project, getting involved in site selection stage with the clients, delivering due diligence for them, assisting with any contacts that we can put them in locally in the market, to whether it's real estate, to look for new locations or any local partners, any contractors, supply chains, and so on. So I think it's important to remember that as the sector grows, each of these, each of the client teams, contractor teams are in a similar position. They are growing very fast, face the same skill shortage challenges. They also go into new regions. So the partnerships that we have with the clients, the frameworks that we work within, really rely on us being very open and exchange the, you know, any support that anybody can with each other.
Yeah, which brings us really nicely on to probably the next question I'd like to discuss, which is really, you know, how is emerging technology and digital engineering, what positive impact is that having on the way that we can deliver our work, or the data center industry can deliver their designs and construction delivery? So what experiences have we had where technology has really improved the delivery of our projects?
Well, I think thinking from our pure delivery side and our teams, we keep thinking how to deliver that scaling more and more efficiently. So the clients, most of the clients operate on a standardized reference design, or blueprint design, or template design, however they call it. And very often the delivery is relying on duplicating that design in a new location with applying any local standards and so on, but often not deviating from the original much, and being very efficient in digitally handling it brings the difference in mostly time and the speed that we can do it. So we have been getting more and more efficient on that front, and how we can develop models, develop design packages.
We also, Alec, have a team of digital engineers. I mean, digital engineering within Cundall is a big item for us, and we within our team have some engineers that are really dedicated with looking after that and making sure that we're using the software and the technology on that side to our best efficiencies. And I think with each project and each delivery, there are new innovations and new software, new coding that we use, whether it's in the models to do some, you know, automatic checking within the models, or whether it's our civils team that have developed a software tool that can help them to very quickly change and modify, for example, the external chambers on a site, which are numerous and vast. They're almost like big rooms within the ground for the fibers and the power cables that go around. So there's a lot of innovation that we continue to do, you know, every week within Cundall to help us on that delivery side as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think, yeah, you know, I think we're definitely seeing that, Pete, aren't we? You know, certainly the innovation around digital engineering is having a massive impact on the speed and accuracy of the information that we produce, and our ability to move that design forward in leaps and bounds. Joe, what's your experience of digital engineering in your region?
Well, in Asia Pac, especially some emergency market, that we are worrying about workmanship and what's happening on site. So in our projects, we do 360 cameras so that we do periodically record. Clients and design team can see what's actually installed and what's the workmanship of that, just to rectify before too many things got covered by the defects. So I think it's helped the entire teams a lot.
Yeah.
Benny,
Thank
how
you.
about
Benny?
Yeah, look, I think probably very very similar. I think feedback to what Peter, Barbara, and Joe has said already. I think you know, in Australia, I think the real digital push is in the BIM side of things, and how we can really work faster, smarter, more efficient, but also add value technically via our BIM models and processes. I think, yeah, I think we've probably seen, you know, and it's probably with COVID, I think, also how we undertake site inspections and work with remote teams. I think Cundall has really adapted to that, and I think part of this is, you know, going back to the query about working in emerging markets, is how we kind of can bring those ways of working into those markets. Now, we might not always be there on the ground, but I think if we, based on how we've established these local partnerships, I think we can really bring the expertise, experience, or all the lessons learned into these markets via these digitally, whether they'd be, you know, also our you know, collaboration tools and the like. So
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think that pretty much brings us to the end, really. Thank you to all my colleagues at Cundall for their contributions. Clearly, there is there is an increasing demand in this sector for data centers processing capacity. There are new markets emerging, you know, at a quicker pace than those more established, and really how we deliver the volume of new projects into these markets using skills that perhaps may be outside the region really will be at the forefront of how this sector evolves into the future. Thank you all, and thank you for listening.